This organization basically controls our borders. The Homeland Security doesn't control them. Border Patrol doesn't control them. This international organization that's half owned by corrupt Mexico controls our border.
Alicia Powell with the Gateway Pundit, and we're here with Brian Kolfage, triple amputee veteran who is building a wall on the southern border. Brian, tell us what we last saw you all over the news. You started a GoFundMe, and you got like $25 million in contributions back in December 2018. In just a few days, a few weeks. But we haven't heard much about what's happened with your project since then. It was We Fund the Wall, and now it's We Build the Wall, this nonprofit organization you started since.
Yeah, and I think what happened was these globalist media organizations realized that we're actually going forward and building the wall, and there's nothing they can do to stop it. And they pretty much just pulled the plug on us because we were actually doing something to fight back, and it was very powerful of the people coming together to build a wall when the government wasn't getting the job done.
What happened after December? You joined forces with some of the heavy hitters in the political arena, like Steve Bannon and Tom Tancredo and some of the Angel Moms. I think they're on the advisory board of We Build the Wall.
Yeah, and that was crucial to getting a support network of hardcore conservatives who understand the importance of border security, and people have been affected by it. And after that GoFundMe, after we created it and shifted it, I learned that we couldn't give the money to the federal government. There's no way we could give the money to the federal government. They weren't going to take it with the Democrats in control. And so we devised a plan just to build the wall ourselves. And that was Steve Bannon's idea. He was just like, Brian, why don't you just build the wall? And I was like, perfect, we're going to build the wall. And just like that, it happened. And we needed to come up with a plan to move the money forward out of the GoFundMe. And so we created a nonprofit called We Build the Wall, which is a 501c4. Nonprofit has just been building border walls. We built a border wall in Sunland Park, New Mexico, which is right next to El Paso. It completely changed the game, and we completed that in June. And now we're down in Texas working on another project. And this project will also change the game for Texas.
Tell us about what happened with the International Boundary and Water Commission, because it hasn't just been, we're going to build the wall. It's been an obstruction by a bureaucratic agency all along the way, and that still is the problem, right?
Right. Well, the IBWC was formed, I think, back in the 1800s, and it's like a UN type organization where the United States president appoints one person to oversee the United States side, and then the Mexican president appoints one person to oversee the Mexican side. And this organization basically controls our borders. The Homeland Security doesn't control them. Border Patrol doesn't control them. This international organization that's half owned by corrupt Mexico controls our border. And so there's a lot of politics that comes in to play. And these Mexican officials, who a lot of them are corrupt, and it's proven they're corrupt, have say on what goes on our border on the United States side. And of course, they didn't like our wall going up in Sunland Park, New Mexico. It was a main smuggling route. And, they got a lot of pushback from those cartels and those people on that side who didn't want that route shut down. And so we felt the ultimate, basically the government, trying to push back on us because of this. And it just shows us how screwed up the whole system is, where we have an international group like the UN controlling our border, telling us what to do, telling our Border Patrol what to do.
They just want an open border. In fact, what happened in June, they opened the gate to the new wall you built, and 1,000 illegal immigrants just flooded right on through in a matter of moments.
Yeah, and that's the second issue, is the gate, where we're trying to turn this wall over to DHS and Border Patrol and give them full control. It's their wall. We built it for them. But there's this gate now, and the gate was something they asked for. So they have a gate so they can get in. But instead of doing the common sense thing of shutting the gate and locking it when they need to go in, they leave it wide open Monday through Friday all day long. And they
Well, it's
say
still
it's
open.
because it's still open right now. Anyone can go on our website, and we have live cameras up watching the gate right now. Hundreds and thousands of people watch that video camera and are watching what's going on. The IBWC says they leave it open for those workers, but there's no workers going through. And people are seeing that live, that there's no workers going through. There might be like one worker a week that will go through, and that's it. And why can't they just have a key? And then what's crazy is if you look on Google Earth in Mexico, there's all these $1 million mansions right on the water, right across from where we're building the wall, that are built in the floodplain. And so the IBWC is a joint organization. So why is the Mexican IBWC allowed to build these mansions on the water when in the United States we can't build anything in the floodplain? It doesn't make sense. So are they more favorable to the Mexicans, or is there corruption on the Mexican side with the IBWC? Something's not right. Something's not adding up. And for them to make a fuss about us putting a fence up on private property on the border, there's clearly an issue.
And the head of the IBCW, her name's Jane Harkins. She was recommended by a never Trumper, Dean Heller. There's lots of evidence to show she's a left-leaning Democrat. And then the liaison who works at the State Department, which is supposed to oversee the IBCW, his name's Dan Saines. He worked for Tim Kaine. So you can't expect much oversight or accountability from the State Department on behalf of this obscure UN-type organization that no one's even ever heard of that's controlling our border.
Right. And it just shows you just the level of complexity and just, I mean, this is what President Trump deals with every day. And we're starting to see it now. Just how much is against this wall. And
why would President Trump appoint Jane Harkins? The president's doing a lot. Look at what you're going through. Can we imagine what he has to go through? But there's so many people around the president that should have been nowhere near the administration and not gotten these appointments.
Yeah, and exactly. And no one knows what the IBWC is. President Trump I guarantee he had no clue what the heck the IBWC was. He was like, if someone explained it to him, they're the Water Commission, they oversee the water in Mexico. If you read their mission statement, yeah, okay, we can have a Democrat oversee that, someone who's liberal, not a big deal. But the influence they have over everything on that border is the most important position for anything going on that border. And that's why it's a screw up to have a liberal in that position.
Now you are attempting to build a second section of the border. The first you did about how many miles? And it was near El Paso.
It was like about 3/4 of a mile. It was just a gap that went up a mountain. So we plugged that gap. And yeah, now this next one is 3.5 miles. And
again, there's another left-leaning organization, environmentalist organization that says, now they're saying insects are more important than American citizens. A butterfly reservation, a butterfly museum.
They're called the National Butterfly Center. And they're not a national anything. They're trying to sound like there's some like federal museum. They named themselves the National Butterfly Center. And it's nothing more than a piece of land out in the middle of nowhere, right on the border, where illegal aliens are crossing every single day. Cartels are coming onto their property. And it should be called the National Cartel Center or something, rather than the National Butterfly Center.
So you've been giving a restraining order by a district judge to stop building. And now there's reports saying, they're defiant, we build the wall. They're still building even though the judge gave them the restraining order to stop. But I guess I understand you're just clearing brush and making way for construction.
Yeah, they're not smart enough to read the fine print and understand what all the terminology means. And so they think that we can't do anything, which they're wrong. And we're still doing construction down there. It's still moving forward. It's just the physical wall is not being concreted into the ground until we get the approval from the IBWC.
If every Trump supporter donates $80, then you'll have enough to build the entire wall.
That is correct. We could build the entire 2,000-mile border if every single person who voted for Trump would give $80. Wow. And it's that easy. That easy. We've proven now that we can build wall. When we originally raised this money, we was on an idea that, hey, we're going to go, try to build a wall. But now we actually did it. We've proven ourselves DHS has endorsed us. Border Patrol has endorsed us. What greater cause than the, stay home, don't eat dinner for a couple weeks, or don't go out and eat dinner for a couple weeks at a restaurant. Save that money, put it forward to We Build the Wall, and help us build the wall.
Yeah, and then people were apprehensive because the fake news media was trying to smearing you and your organization, and then we didn't hear about you again.
Right. Just like we were saying, I went out and bought a yacht and bought a jet and doing all these vacations, and it's all bull crap. And I haven't been paid a penny from We Build the Wall. Everything I'm doing for this organization is volunteer. Everyone around me and we have employees who are getting paid, but I'm not being paid at all.
But just the few miles that you've built already, you've got Border Patrol agents and Border Patrol chiefs saying, hey, we don't have half the people flooding in anymore. It's making our life so much easier, and giving your organization praise. And just like a quarter of a mile already, or less than a mile.
Exactly. That quarter of a mile, just these little smuggling routes. They're just little gaps in the wall that the cartels are exploiting. And those are the things that need to be plugged. Like we could have a bigger impact by plugging these little gaps that may be a mile or 2 miles or a half a mile, rather than building hundreds of miles out in the middle of the desert, because those aren't utilized as much by the cartels. They want to use these small little holes in urban areas where they can easily get in and hide because of how influential
they're probably doing it to Customs and Border Protection too, with the 60 miles they've built already. Probably the same kind of fights going on that no one's reporting about.
The agents hate them. They hate the IBWC. They hate them because they leave these gates open. There's these gates all along the border that the IBWC needs access to so they can get down to the water and do their studies, and they leave them wide open. And that's where all these migrants come from. They come through these open gates. And what's the point of having a border wall if the IBWC is leaving the gates open for people that's coming? In the military, and I was in the military, if someone left something open like that, like a gate, and there's a security breach, you'd be fired. You'd be fired and kicked out so fast. So why is there no accountability to these people who are doing this and leaving our nation unsecure when we have this gate that should be locked up? When people go through, when they're done working, lock the gate up, and they leave it wide open.
How can we support you?
Yeah,
what do you need?
We're these projects are 100% driven by the American people and donations, and we've raised over $2 million off of people giving $5. I think it's very important. A lot of people think that they can't make a difference, but they can make a difference. And if they can give $5, that's all it takes is $5 to make a difference. With WeBuildTheWall.us.
Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you're continuing to do to keep our country safe.
Thank you. All right, now go check out the live cameras, too, on our website. People can go watch the live cameras we have set up of our current wall in Sutherland Park, New Mexico. You can watch the IBWC not go through the gate all day if you want. And, just check it out.